you. That's good. Sit down. We did well. When was the last time you sang the national pledge? What was the last time? And all that, right? But I deliberately thought we should sing the national anthem. It feels good, right? All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this technical meeting, NAPE Abuja chapter. We're going to connect online so that we can have the official opening remark from our chapter coordinator, Dr. Ajayi, before I can now introduce some certain dignitaries amongst us. Dr. Ajayi, are you online? Over to you.
Yes, I'm online. Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Ibrahim. Ibrahim, how are you?
I'm good. Over to you. So welcome the people in the room.
Oh. Good morning,
We can all
everyone.
hear you. Yes.
Good morning. Welcome to NAPE Abuja chapter. On behalf of the executive of NAPE Abuja, Emmanuel Ogunyo, Ibrahim Dong, Tuposun Owolabi, Mariam Shiro, Mariam Obaje, I want to welcome you to the second special technical stroke business meeting today. I call this special because we are having two experts from the oil and gas industry. I thank you for coming, and also want to thank the management of PGS Geophysical Nigeria Limited. They are a multinational company. They deem it fit to sponsor this program. I want to thank you, really appreciate you. I want to actually recognize the presence of Mr. Wale and John from PGS Geophysical. Thank you very much for coming. Before I move further, I also want to recognize those viewing us from online. I can see Mr. John Bosco, a fellow FNAP, and also Mr. Ehi joining us online. They are fellows of Nigeria. They are VP and the president-elect. Mr. John Bosco is president-elect of NAPE, and Mr. Ehi is the vice president. Thank you for joining us online. Along the line, my colleague will be introducing the other dignitaries online and on ground. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, ma'am.
I also want to also at this moment also tell you that NAPE technical meeting is a forum dedicated to advancing the interest of oil and gas industry. As we all know, the PIA, the Petroleum Industry Act, that was established in August 2021, actually aimed at ensuring energy security in Nigeria. And this is focused on growing global energy delivering capacity, and it's tied to production increase and profitability. This actually makes, as we all know also, 90% of Nigerians' earning comes from the oil and gas, and 40% of our entire GDP is linked to oil and gas revenue. This actually makes our topic today timely and dynamic, which is accelerating your exploration success, recent technology advances. And then today, we stand at the forefront of opportunity to harness the potential of our resources and to propel economic growth forward. So as we embark on the journey of discovery, where our esteemed speaker will be illuminating us on recent technology advances that are reshaping the landscape of exploration, I would like to encourage all of us to engage wholeheartedly, exchange ideas freely, and as collective wisdom of this esteemed gathering. Thank you everyone for being part of this transformative journey. I want to appreciate you for coming. I say welcome everyone. And I'll hand over to Ibrahim to take us further and to actually introduce our dignitaries and the chairman. Thank you for coming once again.
Thank
Ibrahim.
you so much. Please, a round of applause for our chapter coordinator. Yes. She's unavoidably absent, and she's doing this all the way from the United States. So it took a lot of the commitment to do this. All right. Safety. This is PTDF. For those of us that are here for the first time, it's design top-notch, smart building. In terms of, they're not expecting any fire drill today, but in case there is one, there's an exit right here for those of us on this side of the room. And when you go that way, you find a muster point that way. And the same way, if you take this door, per chance, when you go that way, there's another door out there, and you to get to a muster point. All right? And don't go upstairs, just stay on the ground floor with us. And for the convenience, if you take this door where you come in and take right, all right again, there's a convenience for the gents. And for the female, I don't know where it is. I'm just kidding. All right, so it's in the opposite direction. All right, so you won't miss it. It's well leveled. So that's it for the safety brief. Quickly, it will interest you to know that this is our one of the most populated or one of the most important technical meetings for this quarter. And I could even say for this year, because it attracts people from all industry across the value chain. Trust me, you're going to have value for the time you're going to be spending here, okay? From our two presenters that will be presenting to us. Dr. Ajayi, our chapter coordinator, have taken time to introduce quite a number of people, including our panelists, fellows that are already connected online. 100 online. So, but on the panelists, you have fellows, not to repeat, our president-elect John Bosco is online. Okay, our former chapter coordinator, Dr. Ehi Mbazwe, is also online. So Ajibola will be in here any moment. We have one of our fellows here. He walked in here quietly, thinking that we'll not notice him. Alex Tack is the CEO of Lapostrain Energy. He's sitting down there. We have students from IBB University, Nasarawa State University, Bayero, all in the room. And I think from the University of Abuja too, all in the room. And they didn't just come alone. They came in with their head of departments. Dr. Aminu Abdullahi is here. He's somebody that I know very well. Dr. Aisha Kana is held somewhere. That's HOD Nasarawa State University. She should be here, but I'm not sure if she can make it. For IBB, they came in with their HOD physics department. Please, Dr. Yusuf Tanko. So he blended in like one of the students quietly. So, but they're all here. And then we have one of our own, Alhaji Zana Entaf. So when we want people to talk to us, they're in NAPI and the board. These are the kind of people we go to, right? And they can ask and they'll say yes. So I'll keep announcing names as I pick them up. If I don't announce you, please don't feel bad. I promise you I'm going to pick you out before the end of this meeting. And we have people from NOSRA and Federal Ministry of Environment. Please welcome. Can I see a show of hands? People from NOSRA. That's where Dr. Shuri is. That's like our core. Dr. Shuri is our financial secretary and at the same time our treasurer. So she's from NOSRA. We have people from Nigerian Ajik Oil Company. Now they are major stakeholders here. They will never miss NAPE technical meeting for anything. Please, can I see your hand up? I've seen like 3 of them. Ah, good. You see? I'm right. Yes, our assistant chapter coordinator is from Ajib too. So he's here. He will come and introduce himself later. And we have people from NMPC. I don't even have to mention that. They are one of our core sponsors in our technical meetings in NAPI Abuja chapter. Thank you. Christopher Ikechi. He's a Vice President, Synergy Energy EMP. He's also here. Thank you for coming. I'm saving the best for the last. Our sponsors, PGS. When they come, they will do the justice. All right. Peter, thank you. Chris, thank you. And the rest of the team. I'll read your biography when it is time. But for now, just recognize you. Thank you for being here. And thank you for agreeing to do this for us, for sponsoring this technical meeting. All right. All right. Our chairman for today will have a way of giving you a special attention up here. Okay. So, but for now, you can decide to sit there so that after the presentation, so that you don't have to be back in the presentation. Then later during the question and answer, you can now move back there together with the rest of the team and answer all the questions. All right. So Alhaji Zana is our chairperson for the day. He's going to coordinate the question and answer sessions. As the presentation is going on, take your pen and paper, write down questions. Don't miss it out. All right. Make sure you're taking down questions. We'll take those questions at the end of the presentation. We'll have a whole of 40 minutes for that. I won't forget Toboson, she is one of us. Nape is on. You're online. You can hear me, right, Toboson? So I saw your name out there. Thank you for always being. Say it again. Oh, okay. So I thought maybe there's a talk back. Thank you for doing what you do for NAPE. And say hello to the people at Jovic. Okay. Our ESCOs, it's important to know the chapter coordinator mentioned names, but we don't know who the ESCOs are. Please, the ESCOs Abuja chapter, can you stand up from wherever you are? Dr. Shiro Mariam, our YP coordinator, right there. All right, so these are the people running the show here in the Abuja chapter. Okay. Consult. The people, Biometric, that's the company that our chapter coordinator have vision. She's a CEO and those are her people acting as our secretary. I hope I've not left out anybody so far. All right then. Our guest speakers for today. It would be nice to get to know them properly before they come up here, because the main core for today is for us to be able to do our presentation. Just give me a minute. All right. I'll start with Chris. Chris Drage. Chris Drage is a senior president, Africa, Mediterranean, and Middle East, PGS. Chris manages PGS business in Africa, the Mediterranean, and the Middle East. During 26 years with the company, he has also held management roles for PGS interpretation business, the European multi-slant region, and headed the company's global sales team. He has also overseen the migration of PGS multi-clan, forgive me for that, seismic data library to the cloud and the development of new business models to access seismic data. A British citizen, Mr. Drage holds a bachelor's degree of science degree in physics from Hull University and a master's degree in business administration degree from Manchester Business School. I know that school. So please welcome Chris Drage. Alongside Drage is Peter Wijnen. Is okay, right? All right. He's a vice president, business development, AMME at PGS. Peter has over 25 years of experience in the geophysical service industry and started his career in seismic processing and responsible for the execution of velocity depth model building and depth imaging program. He joined PGS in the year 2000. Peter supervised the depth imaging group and at PGS in London, and later became the depth imaging manager at Houston, Texas, overseeing the imaging of PGS first wide azimuth projects in the Gulf of Mexico. After several years leading PGS, seismic imaging businesses in the North and South of America, Peter joined the Europe multi-client group as head of geophysical operations. Since 2018, Peter has been responsible for new seismic acquisition programs in Africa, the Mediterranean, and the Middle East, working with stakeholders to hold and promote. Sorry, the image is a bit tiny, so I'm trying to fiddle around the device. So he did all that for PGS acquisition and image seismology, seismic technology and PGS data library across the continent. Right now, a Dutch citizen, he holds a Master's of Science degree in geophysics from Utrecht University in the Netherlands. Please welcome Peter. When they all come up, they will tell us more about themselves and what they do on a day-to-day basis. So, without too much ado, can we please welcome the first presenter who will take the first half of the time presenting to us? Chris.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much indeed. I'm just waiting for the slides to come up. They're coming up. Just bear with us. Excellent first slide. So firstly, I wanted to say thank you very much for the incredibly warm welcome. I'm extremely impressed that some of the chapter and the coordinator from Houston, it's incredibly early in the morning in Houston, has introduced us. I think it's very important to show the commitment that clearly she has shown and the rest of you have shown. It's lovely to have a great big audience, both here in the room and online. Thank you very much. As you can probably see from my first slide here, in the right-hand corner at the bottom, it highlights 30 years. PGS has only existed for 32 years, but we've been working here in Nigeria for 30 years. This was the first place, as I'll show you in a minute, where we invested in Africa, and we continue to do so today. You've already had long introductions to Peter and myself, so I won't focus on our experience. But we're very glad to be here. Thank you. The agenda that was highlighted, and you probably saw, focused on the digital transformation of exploration industry, particularly how cloud-enabled operations has changed both acquisition and imaging technology, and how we have changed the seismic acquisition and imaging technology over the last few years as well. We're going to split this presentation into two parts. I'm going to focus on the large industry drivers and the impacts of a technology which is not directly seismic related. And then my colleague will talk more about seismic acquisition technology and how that has changed over the years. PGS manages and operates those enormous vessels that you can see in the top picture. They're called ramform vessels. They are, when they have seismic streamers out the back of them, they are the largest moving objects on Earth. They have streamer configurations that can be up to 2 kilometers wide and 10 kilometers long. So they're the size of states in the UK anyway, and those have to be managed safely. So that's a critical part of our business. And they generate up to 3 terabytes of data per day. That's equivalent to 3 million books, and we have to manage that data, process it, and get it to you as the users of that data. HPC is high performance compute. So we obviously take that data and use it for good quality imaging of the Earth. And as Peter will talk about later, the focus of that has been mainly on oil and gas exploration, but increasingly for other purposes as well, which Peter will touch on later. Africa, as I've kind of highlighted to you already, is a critical place for us to invest. This is a list of some of the projects we have had firsts on, and as you can probably see on there, Nigeria features rather highly. It was the first place after the North Sea. Only less than a year after the company was formed, we acquired a data set here in Nigeria, a 3D data set. The second 3D project was also here in Nigeria. We have acquired more 4D seismic projects in Nigeria than any country in the continent. And we also tested our most important technology development over the last 15 years, the GeoStreamer, here in Nigeria as well. So this is a place where we have long-term business, and with your support, we actually test new technology. I'm going to start really on the big industry drivers. So for us, the macro trends in the industry are things, and you'll probably have seen these, decarbonisation is obviously really important for the industry. Digitalisation has huge opportunities for improvement. The world is worried about energy security and obviously wants to diversify the supply of energy so they're not reliant on one source or one country. And in Africa, energy, as we know, is the primary economic driver around the world. Africa has 17% of the global population, and actually it's increasing dramatically, as you know better than I do, but only is responsible for 6% of global energy emissions. And it's really important that the rest of the world understands that development is critical, energy is the driver, and it is not Africa that has produced the emissions that are current climate change problem. So I skipped over something rather important. So what is important? And that's at the bottom of the slide there. The critical for the world's industry, but also for Africa, is the need for speed. It's really important that we are able to analyze what's in the ground, we're able to evaluate it, produce it, and start making a difference as quickly as we possibly can. And the rest of my slides are going to focus on how we can be more efficient with technology that isn't necessarily just related to our streamers and acquisition and imaging. The first thing I was going to highlight was that this is a mature industry. The oil industry is a mature industry. The oil industry in Nigeria is a mature industry. So I was going to focus on 2 or 3 of the things that characterize a mature industry and what we, as people involved in the African energy industry, need to focus on. And those are risk sharing, partnership, and collaboration. And I was going to give you examples of all 3. The first one, as we seismic companies invest in multi-client data, and that means we acquire seismic data at our own cost, and then obviously we would like to license that data to as many people who want to have it. That's an expensive operation. And the way that in large markets and mature markets, the best way to do that is to work together. So the map you see there on the left-hand side is in Malaysia, where SLB, TGS, and PGS together invested in multi-client data, 50,000 square kilometers of data we invested together. That's an example of the risk sharing in places where you need to do large partnerships. Obviously, also another critical element of a mature industry. And a best example I can think, and it's a very current one for you, is that we have been working a lot over the last few years in reprocessing some of the older seismic data that has been acquired in Nigeria in a timely fashion so that it is ready for the 2024 licensing round, which was announced a few days ago. So we have made sure that the data which we'll explore on is as good as it can possibly be in time for your round. Very closely with NUPRC to make sure that was all done in the right schedule. So there's an example of a partnership. And collaboration, a particularly good example of this. As a scientist, we don't acquire seismic across national boundaries. Geology doesn't respect the borders between our countries. And imaging between countries because we stop at the borders. I would love to see more seismic shot across national boundaries. It's never an easy thing to organize between nations, but you have done it in the past, Nigeria. And you're probably one of the only countries on Earth that has done it. So I would like to. Next thing I'm going to briefly talk about is the cloud in the seismic industry in many different ways. And I guess the most important thing, it improves the speed, the scale, and accessibility of data. And that's really important if we're going to move things quickly. It supports efficient, has put 2 million square kilometers of seismic data into the cloud. Responsible for that in PGS, and it's taken 2.5 years to get there. But now it is in the cloud. Anybody the right from anywhere in the world. It is also QC'd and it's well managed. Accessing data from anywhere at any time is really important for the industry moving quickly. And secondly, the cloud has also helped us with compute power. So we have moved a lot of, and Peter will go into more detail, a lot of our imaging capability, our processing capability into the cloud. And the advantage of that is you can almost have infinite compute capacity if you're using your algorithms in the cloud. You can access storage, you can access compute power on a scale that are normally unimaginable, and that allows you to increase the speed of your processing projects. I've already mentioned it, but this is a highlight of what PGS has done. We have called it multi-client data on demand, and having put all of our data on the cloud, it means that an oil company is able to access that data over a small area, over an entire country, or if they really want to, over the whole of the globe. And they can access that data from anywhere, as long as they've got a good internet connection, they can access that data from anywhere. It also allows us to think of different ways of providing that data to the users. Traditionally, what we do is we provide a license to them and then they can download from the cloud. But another way to do it is a bit like Netflix or another, you can actually have a subscription model where you subscribe per year over multiple years to access the data. And obviously you get access to that as long as you continue. And that's a bit of a change for the industry and it's making a difference. I'm not going to go into this in detail because Peter is the expert, but the ability for us to do all of our processing in the cloud allows us to do things that previously were virtually impossible. So we're able to do, for those geophysicists in the room, full waveform inversion and time migration in parallel. That normally is sequential, but if we're able to do these things together, it allows us to increase the speed of our processing projects. And for instance, in 4D projects where you're desperate to understand how oil and gas is moving in a reservoir, it allows you to speed up the process again. Connectivity. So one of the things that has changed dramatically just in the last couple of years is satellite technology. The image you see on the right-hand side are all of Starlink's satellites that are orbiting the globe. There are many, many thousands, and I didn't realize this, many, many thousands of satellites orbiting the globe. And that allows, for the first time, huge volumes of data to be transmitted around the globe via satellite. For those of you who know the seismic industry, traditionally the way we do that is we record all of our data on tapes. And we might be tens of miles offshore. We then ship those tapes in terrible seas sometimes back to shore and then courier them from there to a processing center. We don't need to do that anymore. We can get 3 terabytes of data, all the data that's acquired on a vessel, without compromising the quality of the data, and get it sent by satellite to anywhere in the globe. And again, that speeds up the process hugely of imaging projects in particular. And just to be clear, there are more than one provider. Some people worry that maybe there's only a single provider. There are multiple providers who help us with this service, so we're not dependent on one company. What the industry calls the Internet of Things, that's connecting everything together. Sometimes we have that in our houses. You can connect your phone to various applications and equipment. In the oil industry, there are a couple of things that that's important for. For safety in particular, monitoring personnel in hazardous environments and exactly if they're exposed to things. That's a really important thing for us. The right-hand pictures there are the back of one of our huge vessels. And where we use it is we can continuously monitor our equipment performance. So that's the equipment that's in the sea, but also the equipment in the engine rooms. And predictive maintenance allows us to have a good idea of when things are more likely to fail, maintain them in time. And the most important thing for the industry is that means we are more efficient. We have less time when our vessels are not working. We have fewer failures because we predict them in advance, and it means our operations are more efficient and hopefully are not as expensive. That's very important. And lastly, I was going to just touch on one other thing, which is robotics. So robotics is an industry trend that is affecting many industries. And now, what does that mean for the seismic industry? Well, that rather strange thing you can see on the picture there is a robot that we can takes a streamer cleaner. I was telling you earlier, our streamers are up to 10 kilometers long. And during an operation, which can last many months, they can get covered in debris, in particular barnacles. Barnacles, I'm afraid, are something that's more of an issue now than they've ever been, and that's unfortunately down to climate change. And when we're operating for many months at a time, it's really important for us that we're able to clean the streamers, and we're able to clean the streamers safely. Little boats that will go up and down those 10-kilometer streamers, and that's a hazardous thing. And now we're able to use a robot to put an automatic cleaner, and we don't require little boats with us and our colleagues in them to make it work. So it increases the safety, and it makes sure the quality of all those barnacles. And just if you don't believe me, those are the pictures of the barnacles hanging on one of our streamers as it comes back into the vessel. You can imagine if that is all the way along a 10-kilometer streamer, what it does do is it introduces a lot of noise into the recording, the geophysics recording, and that makes reduces the quality of the data. So it's really important to remove those, which we do. So in conclusion, and I want to hand over to Peter to talk more about geophysics and our vessels. Industry trends and the energy drivers I described at the beginning require operational efficiency improvements, maintaining safety standards, as I just mentioned, but probably most important, reducing timelines. It's really important that we can acquire seismic quickly and efficiently so that you're able to explore for more oil and gas and produce more quickly. And there are 4 or 5 things that we're doing. Cloud technologies are revolutionizing the way we do seismic. Connectivity is really important. Satellite technology allows us to get data off vessels more quickly and reduce the use of those tapes I talked about earlier. The Internet of Things, predictive maintenance and robotics make our operations more efficient and importantly, and I wanted to finish on where I started this, which is we as a group need to embrace the spirit of partnership. It's really important that in a mature industry, when we need to do things quickly, that we work together. And we're very proud to have great relationships with our local partners and with the government and with the oil companies that are represented in these rooms. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Chris, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, here in the room and also online, of course. I'm very wary of the fact that I'm certainly for those in the room, that I'm standing between you and lunch. So I'll be as succinct as I can. Yeah, as Chris already alluded to, and he said an essential component on increasing your success when it comes to exploration is getting access to data in a timely fashion. But obviously, it needs to be the right data, and that's an important aspect I would like to start with, but also will probably end with. It needs to be the right data, which solves some of the particular challenges you have in the subsurface. So in this presentation, what I'm going to do is show you some of the latest technologies on the acquisition and on the imaging side, which enables us to image deeper, have volumes with an even higher resolution than ever before, and all of that with in mind that we can create a volume which you and other users and interpreters are going to use to make better and more informed decisions going forward. So after a short intro, where I just give you a very brief update on our main assets, the fleet, new technology we deploy on the acquisition side, and as you will see, it's not only it's a bit wider. We cover exploration, placement, or even carbon capture work, and then I'll imaging technology as well, some updates on that, and show you what I think some pretty impressive images. So all I'm going to cover today, I think it's very relevant Nigeria. It's very relevant for the region, the Africa region as a whole. And what we've seen over the last year or years is really I don't call it a resurgence, but a significant increase in exploration. Exploration which was maybe a little bit abandoned 5 to 10 years ago, and we're coming back to that. And it's not only the new energy type of things, it's exploring for oil and gas, because I think we've now seen and over the last years or so really come to the conclusion that oil and gas will play an important part in the energy mix going forward. It's going to be a critical component in the energy mix, as I said, to supplement the renewable energies we need, and as the global demand here and across the world is ever increasing, and Africa is going to play an important part in this, in my opinion, and maybe even an essential part in this. And if you look at, for example, recent discoveries with Baleine in Ivory Coast, or Graf and Venus in Namibia, you can see there is some great potential here. And I think Africa is going to be going to be playing a very strategic role in the access or the mix for reliable, accessible, and also secure energy, not only for Africa, which obviously will be first, but also potentially for the globe as a whole. So across the region, sorry, I skipped a little too early, but across the region, we're obviously having a lot of potential here. We have hydrocarbon basins. We see this here in the Niger Basin Delta, but historically this the focus has been on the shallow water inboard extensional province. But as we look at further exploration, we need to go into deeper water where we see these the fold and thrust belts, and it is becoming more and more complex. And as it becomes more and more complex, we are going to need a good data set to be able to understand the subsurface as best as possible. So yes, it's geologically complex. Yes, there is an enormous amount of future exploration potential, but what is needed is the right data to image the subsurface. So, and I already skipped to that slide earlier, but you're seeing this. PGS really prides itself to be a fully, what we call a fully integrated seismic, geophysical seismic company. What does that mean? So that means that we look at seismic, and we model what acquisition designs we need. We acquire the data, we process the data, and we interpret the data. And that obviously becomes a very integrated process. So we can make sure that when we image the data, we've acquired the right data to start with. And when we acquire the data, we do that with, and Chris already alluded to that, is a platform we use is the REMForm platform. It's an incredibly efficient platform to acquire seismic. You see some of the older versions on the right, on the lower right, and the newer T-class versions at the top. Now they have a very distinct design. You can call them, they're almost triangle shaped. It's like a cheese wedge. But what it means is that they're so much wider at the back. And the reason it's wide at the back is that it creates an extraordinarily safe platform to deploy all the gear we use in our surveys, and all that gear is then deployed by the crew in an extremely safe environment. And why is that important? And I'll come to that in a second, but it's extremely important because HSE is a core part of our business, and I think as the industry as a whole. So making sure the crews are safe is incredible. But what it means in this particular scenario, for example, these vessels are able to operate in the harshest environments. Maybe to give you an idea, some of our recent surveys further south on the continent have been operating on a daily basis with sea states between 7 and 8 meters. And that is a very rough sea, I can tell you that. So now this fleet is not only active, as I said earlier, in the oil and gas part. It's basically a multi-purpose type of platform. And in this current world, we are not only looking for oil and gas with this equipment, but we're also focusing on other energy-related programs. Wind farm placement work is one of them. We're also looking at carbon storage facilities and how to image that as best as possible. And you can also use this type of technology for marine mineral mining. And yeah, that's another purpose in this particular case. But what is common across the whole fleet is, and Chris already alluded to that a little bit, is the use of the equipment, and that is unique on all the vessels. And the main thing being the streamers, so the listening devices we have behind our boat. The uniqueness of this is that it's built up in more than one sensor. So we use multiple sensors. We use a hydrophone and a geophone. And the combination of those of that creates a broader band output, which means there is absolutely no drawbacks on the frequency spectrum we acquire of the data, which is important because we need it creates a wide, broad spectrum also on the high end, but also on the low end side of our frequency spectrum. And I'll come back to that why that's important, because that has major impacts on imaging later. But also what it enables is that because we have the two sensors in the one streamer, we can operate the streamer at a deeper depth. And why is that important is because at deeper depths, the streamer is not so dependent on the weather state, for example, at the sea surface. And it also creates an even lower frequency output, which again I'll come back to in a little bit. So when it comes to acquisition and technology related to acquisition, it's a wide variety of applications. So let me start here at the top with what we call the P cable. And the P cable is from all of this is quite a unique setup. We use this setup in the wind farm placement work. So it's for ultra high resolution seismic. Just to put it in perspective, it's almost as big as any of the other one. But if you will, so that's the actual size. So we're acquiring this type of ultra high res data with 10 streamers, but they're only 6 and a bit long. But what we want to get out of it in this particular technology is the extreme resolution. In this particular case for wind farm placement, but you could use at seabed or below seabed is crucial, and that's what is used for the construction of the. We don't have anything on the seabed. We're not expecting such that these wind turbines are not securely positioned. But what it does do is, if we acquire this, and you can see it at the top, the conventional approach was a more, but because we're using multiple streamers, multiple sources, this a large upside from 2D to 3D, and the resolution is increased. We acquire this at an eighth of a millisecond sample rate. We are able to create vertical resolution to about 25 centimeters, which is something certainly I've never seen before. A very effective and a very accurate way of near surface in the ultra high resolution. So if we then move and focus a little bit on more conventional seismic acquisition design, as we are moving exploration in more complex environments, what we need is longer offsets. You name it. So all of that is, all of our acquisition technology is driven. If we have a normal setup, we can tote streamers in the order of 10 kilometers. Looking at these days at technologies like full waveform inversion, the velocity model in the Earth, what is needed there? Geostreamer, but also very long offsets, and sometimes more. So we've established an extended long offset approach where we additional source vessel. So in reality, what it does is then we create 20 or maybe even 22 kilometers. So it's an important part. Sometimes it may be necessary that we get problems in or subsurface challenges we face in, for example, in the Gulf of Mexico or parts of Angola, that there are occasions where we need 40 kilometers of offset to be able to effectively use the imaging technology we can use these days to derive the best possible model of the subsurface. In that particular case, we could deploy OBN nodes, ocean bottom nodes, in addition to the streamer seismic. A variation to that, to the long offsets, is also something we can use, and if I have time, I can come back to that also for the carbon storage, where we use the long offsets for the model building, but only use it in a few longer tails. So the bulk of the spread is 8 kilometers, and the rest is longer. A wider toe source setup, And what that does is that we focus on near offsets as well as the long offsets, because that's very important for AVO and AVO work. If we combine all of that together, so the long tail those sources in terms of getting the near offset information, and also acquire it in a variety of azimuths, we come to a solution we've called GeoStream, designed to capture most of the challenges the subsurface is throwing at us. We have low frequencies with the GeoStreamer. We've got accurate, well, to acquire long offsets. We have the azimuthal diversity because we acquire in multiple directions. And obviously, because we acquire more and more data, the signal to noise ratio and everything associated with that is significantly improved. And I'll be fairly quick, but the velocity models we can derive on a single pass with a shorter offset is it's not going to describe the subsurface, the complex subsurface, as accurate as we can. In the longer offsets with this approach, you can clearly see an additional resolution in the velocity model itself. Image later on as well. On top of that, if we do that in multiple azimuths, you're not only better focusing and imaging of the seismic. So the seismic here, this is the legacy. If we use this GeoStreamer X approach, you can clearly see of the subsurface image, and I will toggle once because I'm not sure how this is going to work online. Move on. Okay, I touched upon it already, and I think I'll spend a minute on this on the acquisition design for touched upon it. The near offsets is also very important, and especially important if we're looking at the shallower section. Maybe not as ultra high res as the P cable, as this ultra high res for the wind farm placements, but still high resolution enough to get a good coverage of the very near surface. Historically, we've towed, or this type of work is done with two sources. We can obviously efficient approach by adding sources and come to this a standard 4-source method. But the best way to solve the near offset resolution, and by that, obviously, we are going to, as you can see here, get a far better illumination of that very near offset part, which is important. You can take it one step further and almost create a zero inline offset, if you want to call it, by towing the sources even close over the top of it. And we've done that for quite a few programs in the North Sea where this type of technology, and you see this one here in action, and you can see clearly the vessel obviously here at the bottom of the slide with the streamer set in the middle, and then those 4 sources which are this all looks fairly straightforward and easy to do, but in practice to do this operationally this is something which you can easily think about, but to do this in practice. And that's also resulting in data set. So if you look on the on the left-hand side, you see the legacy 3D seismic. Obviously, it images is compromised. On the right, this is what normally ultra high density or high density approach, but you see the best of both. And this is another example on what a depth or time slice would look like. So if you look at maximizing the quality as well as the efficiency. A brief introduction on the PGS imaging technology. Be aware that imaging and data processing is, and I can't because I'm probably already over my allocated timeline. So just to give you a little overview, when it focusing on quite a few different obviously very focused on getting the best line library. Chris already mentioned. Obviously want to make sure that we have the best possible data in that library. Have a look and want to license that they get the best. Obviously, there's a large focus on the ultra high. And if I jump to the right, we more focus on OBN, on nodes which are deployed directly on the seabed, and imaging. Our imaging strategy going forward. But if I want to highlight one particular thing, and you heard it already in the intro, my background is in depth imaging, so it always stays close. So I'll take some of those. A massively important part of the success of looking at your. Have the right velocity model, then you can throw the best possible algorithm at it, but it's still not going to be ideal. We know what we have here in Nigeria, as they say. If you, and I spoke to one of the gentlemen earlier, if you, it's getting less and less complex. But as we go deeper, it's not going to be that easy. The deeper structures, the extremely rapid velocity variations are going to work. We see it across the world, and this is an important part to get right. And when we do this technology, we're going to see some very impressive uplifts. So you see here on the image now is at the top of velocity model and the associated reverse time migrated image at the bottom of what I would have called in 2021 a very good approach, but it was what I would call a very layer-based or sequential process. Where we use parts of full waveform inversion of tomography and levels of interpretation. You come up with a reasonably accurate model describing it, but as you will see, it's not accurate enough if we then compare it to the latest and greatest full waveform inversion technology. And this is possible, also partly what Chris has been mentioning, to the ever-increasing compute power we have. So if I toggle between them, and you focus simply on the amount of resolution in the velocity model, you can clearly start to see there's a geological, and it becomes so much more believable, and that's what you're seeing, obviously, as in the resulting image as well, and that will enable you to make a far better and accurate interpretation of the subsurface. One thing as well we, I think, are very proud of, and something which is an extension to what I've been just showing you on the full waveform inversion side, is something what we call PGS Ultima. And new, but it's an extension to what I said earlier. PGS Ultima is basically taking the full waveform inversion and the least squares. So it's a simultaneous, and what it creates is through a simultaneous inversion, we create a velocity model and a volume. And by doing that, you can get some extremely accurate models and imaging. And this is the compute in the cloud, be able to scale up to massive amount of compute in a very short. it's a very interesting approach. If you look at some of the results, you'll see this is the normal model building and migration approach compared to the Ultima approach, which like the previous example, creates a significantly more detailed velocity model, but also resulting in a significantly improved seismic image. Now we can take this even further because we have the reflectivity. We can, from that reflectivity and from the velocity, we can derive other products like impedance, density, volumes. And this is becoming very interesting because now we're going to move almost from seismic imaging more to reservoir imaging. And this is a critical component, I think, as we move to more complex scenarios and to more complex decisions need to be taken, that we get more and more confident about our reservoir properties away from the well location, because it's going to be critical. Here you see the across a line where we have an interjecting well, Kirchhoff, reverse time migration, and then the Ultima result towards the right. I don't have to explain you which one is closer to reality. Density volume is obviously showing the same thing, but what I've done as well is overlaid the density log, and the density log was not used in the process to derive the volumes in the background. It's purely as a QC, and you can. That gives you the confidence that if you walk away from this well location, that when we do analysis away from that you'll be doing the right thing. If you see anomalies or you see interesting features, you can be far more confident that is what you predict it to be. So we are getting closer and closer to the red. I'm not sure how I'm doing that time, so I'll go quite quickly through that. There are obviously other migration algorithms are continuously updating as well as we go through it. I'm really excited about the PGS Ultima, but it's not the only tool in the toolbox. We need to have a wider. Here you see the Kirchhoff migration with attenuation. If we use the latest least squares migration, you can clearly see again all that good work associated. The Kirchhoff migration, which we would normally see, spectrum as well on the bottom right, but by using another engine, you can clearly start to see some additional benefit in this particular problem. Again, a broad resolution. Again, giving you a better estimate of. Let me conclude with this. There's so much more we can discuss, but one thing at PGS is keep on improving our technology, both on the acquisition and on the imaging side. Complex as we can. We're never 100% right, so there's always an improvement to be made. The timely access to data is critical. I would say that timely access to the right. In other words, we need to make sure we have the long offsets. We have more azimuths for the AVO work and so forth, and combine state-of-the-art imaging we have in our toolbox. We can create these subsurface associated with it. So let me finish with one more slide, and because that's actually, as Chris already. What we've been trying to do over the last few years in cooperation with the NUPRC is using that type of technology. Not all of the latest and greatest has been applied. but it puts us in a position where we have coverage in the 2024 round. So 10 out of the 12 blocks are covered by a form of looking forward to a successful round with the NUPRC and everyone here. So with that, I thank you, and I hope I'm not too far out of the time.
Thank you, Peter. Hello, are there people in this room? Is it too much physics? I was whispering to my colleague there, I said, if you don't have the basics, you don't understand a thing here. So anyway, that's why we're here. So no stupid question, especially to those our students that are here. Feel free to raise up your hand and ask any question. I give you take questions. I want to quickly introduce our own Alhaji Zana. Please, if you don't mind, you can come up or you can sit down there. I don't even have enough seat to bring everybody here, but two. All right, and I noticed the entire Answer family is here, right? Because he's here. Please clap for them, huh? Other guys here, they are all here. Clap for you people. It's good to have you guys. All right. F. Napi Ojibola, one of our own former chapter coordinator, former Napi president, he is here. Thank you, sir. Sitting right beside him is Dr. Mala. It's my brother, Sekjen Napi. Please clap for him. He's a major force in Napi in terms of YP. He's there in the making sure that Napi has reached in there. He's using his personal funds to do that sometimes. Well done. Where is Aisha? Madam Aisha, where is she? Hey, she's hiding. See, I know them, huh? But Aisha, please stand up. For those of you looking for please collect her number. Aisha, thank you. Quietly also sitting beside Alex Tak Endong, FNMGS VP. She is a former executive commissioner for exploration and acquisition. All right. The introduction goes on. So now we take questions and answer. I'll be doing that alongside with Emmanuel, our assistant chapter coordinator. So if you have a question, raise up your hand. Or if you have written. Okay. Quickly. So we'll take the questions and then I'll hand over to you, Chairman, please.
Thank you very much. Fantastic. Okay, sure. Fantastic presentation. Okay, my name is Muaz Abdul Hakim Abdul. I work for a servicing company, Reservoir Energy. And my question borders around both acquisition and processing, right? I happen to stumble on a technology whereby one receiver technology to be able to do carbon storage monitoring and predictive maintenance. I think what I want to know is that does PGS have a similar technology for exploration? Because if that is feasible and considerable reduction in exploration cost and data for assessment data for exploration. Thank you very much.
All right. I'll apologize to Chairman. Please, summary first. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Chris and Peter. Thank you for doing justice to these topics. Earlier on, Chris has taken us through the cloud technology, satellite connectivity, and Internet of Things, as well as robotics, while Peter later took us through deployment technology and deeper imaging, as well as getting better data. So thank you so much for this. And we are in the question and answer sessions now. And we have already started. I think the first question has been asked, so I think you can go ahead and answer the question.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for the question. I wasn't quite sure where they came from, but thank you. So yes, a single source, single receiver technology for CCUS. It's not something we are focusing on. I guess it's fair to say that we've adapted our technology to our assets. The assets were well. So we have our assets, and the CCUS part of the business is coming after having the assets, if you see what I mean. So we're adapting our technology to the CCUS problem. Having it in a single source, single receiver, obviously that will be more cost effective, but it will obviously create some drawbacks in terms of the amount and how accurately you can image in 1D, 2D. And in our case, a full volumetric 3D. It depends a bit on the problem, I think, as well as how deep the actual imaging is you require. One of the benefits of our approach as well is that it's not only focused on CCUS. So what we can do with our acquisition technology is combine the CCUS problem, but also in parallel you can acquire a more exploration focused survey as well. That's why we said we have the long offset tails with the near offset information, and so you can combine everything in one go. Because very often it's in locations where there are older gas fields, older oil or gas fields, so we can use it in combinations with near field type of exploration, while other parts of that same survey are very relevant for carbon capture. So that's the route we've chosen, and so that's why what it is.
Next question, please. Anyone? Oh, okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marietta. I'm a graduate intern at Protegia Energy. Thank you very much, Mr. Chris and Mr. Peter, for the excellent presentation. My question is directed to you, Mr. Chris. Yeah, I enjoyed your presentation mostly because I am a tech about how technology can be integrated to improve energy access within Nigeria and Africa. So my question is, with the current integration of emerging technologies like IoT and robotics that you talked about, do you think there'll be an increase in cyber attacks on oil and gas infrastructure? And if you think there would be, what security measure do you think we can best employ to manage these attacks? Thank you.
That's a very good question, and it's a question we often get. People are always worried, and rightly worried, about putting their data, be it seismic data, putting any of your personal data into the cloud. Traditionally, the way PGS managed data was on our own premises. So we would have processing centers, we'd have storage facilities in our own offices. And we would be responsible, clearly responsible, for making sure that was secure. And an example would be if we were to have Nigerian data, that is an asset of the Nigerian state, and we need to be confident that we can make sure that data is secure. So is it going to be safer or less safe in the cloud? And I think the answer to that, and we put a lot of effort into this, it is actually safer in the cloud than it is in a PGS office. And the reason I can be confident of that is the major cloud providers are competing with each other and regularly have to review and spend a lot of money on research and development on security. And we all know that cyber attacks are an issue. The best people to prepare for those cyber attacks are those multi-billion-dollar cloud companies who can afford far more research and development in security than PGS can. It's definitely an issue. We employ data security managers who are experts in the field to make sure we're comfortable with everything that those our providers are doing. But we are currently very happy with those cloud providers.
All right. I'm James Bayode, an NPC. My first question, I would like to know, you spoke about the velocity model, your approach to solving complex velocities. Now, we understand simpler models are better because they are not susceptible to overfitting. Now you're presenting a kind of approach that solves overcome the possibility of having overfitting in your process. That's the first question. When you were speaking of the GeoStreamer X, yeah, I loved the portion where you spoke about the long offsets and the likes. But then you spoke about towing the streamers and the source, achieving a near zero offsets. I'm thinking, how do we now overcome distortions and crossfeeds that could happen due to this closeness? What are the approach you're going to do?
Thank you. One more question. One more. I'll take one more. Okay, I will make an exception for Alhaji Bomai and Taka. I mean, from students. Okay, I'll take them. I'll come back.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Chris and Peter. Mine is not a question per se, but it's a personal thank you to PGS. I did my PhD at the University of Manchester, and I got data from 3D mega survey. Not C was quite an extensive data. I got a lot of support and data. I never got the chance to say thank you in person, so thank you, PGS. And now I work with the NUPRC, and we are partners. We are launching the bid round coming next week. So also, it's a good thing. Thank you, Chris and Peter.
Thank you. I have one question here quickly. Policy on accessibility to your cloud. Is it freely or otherwise? Okay, so he'll respond to this once, then before we come to Oman and Alajita.
All right, I'll do the technical one, or the geophysical ones, and the cloud ones I'll leave models, and yes, you've seen quite a lot of detail in these models, and what we've seen is that it actually improved these historically, and please correct me if I've got your question wrong, but I agree with you. In the past, we would have said for of migrations, a velocity model, which is a bit more simpler, a bit more benign, gives you a more robust output. And I would fully agree with that. That was always rule number one. Don't make it too complex. However, and this is the difference. If we move from Kirchhoff migrations, the ray-based migrations, to the wave equation-based type of approaches, like wave equation migration, reverse time migration, or least squares reverse time migrations, you need the detail in this velocity model, and this is the only way to capture the energy and put it in the right place during that migration process. So it depends a bit on the algorithm you're using to image. So I agree with that. But to be able to do the most accurate jobs, this type of definition and complexity is something we're after in these velocity depth models. So when it comes to GeoStreamer X and so on, that was good. Yes, the towing solution we have on the carbon capture, where we tow the wide tow sources above the above the streamer spread. You're absolutely right, because we have a high amplitude event very close to the recorder. So one of the challenges is to make sure that that first high amplitude burst of energy is eliminated. And I focused a lot on the high-end imaging with model building and migration, but a core part of processing seismic data is the basics, as I would call it. Noise attenuation, the filtering and the multiple paths and so on. But in this particular case, attenuating what we would call noise or direct arrivals, which we don't want in our reflections, is important. So you highlight you're right to highlight it. It's a definitely issue, but it's once you can solve the problem, attenuate that higher noise, you have all the benefits of those near offsets. So so those weigh in very important in this type of environment.
Switching gears very quickly, the question was about whether the access to data in the cloud was free. And I'm sure that MEPRC and my ex-colleague from Manchester University would agree that the investment that we together have made in seismic doesn't allow it all to be accessible to anybody for free. However, having the data in the cloud does allow new commercial models, and it allows it potentially to be accessible to more people. And hopefully, the more people who access that data, potentially the cheaper we can make it. So it empowers us to potentially change the model and make it cheaper, but I'm afraid it won't be free.
So I'm not the one standing between you and lunch, okay? And then don't forget, at 1:30, need to go and pray. So as much as you want to ask questions, I'm afraid I'm going to draw a line to that. You can give me your questions. We will send it up in the newsletter, and then they'll be answered, and then they'll be shared back to you, okay? Because the question keeps going on. However, I promise two of our fellows here. Let me start with Alesta and come back to you. He said this is important. After that,
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I want to especially thank the presenters, Chris and Peter, for a wonderful job this topic. I asking this question based on personal experience on a seismic vessel, which my name is Alex Tucker. I'm of Cluster Energy. My very first assignment in the industry about 32 years ago was to be sent on a vessel called Garage West to carry out one of the major seismic acquisition offshore for NNPC. We are still producing from that field as of today. And it's amazing, but the duration of what took place, acquiring data here, taking it all the way to Houston to be processed. I happen to be at the center, Grand Center at Houston, to process even the data and close down the project on behalf of NNPC. The experience was that acquisition time, processing time, interpretation time, up to today, there are still some challenges. All the wonderful geometry designs, acquisition, processing on board, and all that with that data, how to tackle the deeper opportunities within that. With the high technological, especially for PGS, a big name in the industry that can acquire. Are we planning towards having a vessel that can acquire data because looking at the volume you sent out, why could you acquire data for an independent like me in my assets, processing and interpret on board, so that by the time the vessel is leaving, I should be in a position to just be looking for a rig to trade for me. When I saw this topic, that is what was in my mind, accelerating exploration. Thank you very much.
That sounds like he's coming to you with a proposal.
I will take it, and thank you very much for the question. And if I don't answer it fully, just amongst us, we'll add. The simple answer to the question is yes. We certainly can improve the timelines for getting data to you. PGS has made the computing capacity on our vessels, and because of that, on the vessels either. Because we are now confident we can get data off that I told you about, we feel that it is quicker to bring the data to our processing centers, use the capability of lots of people. Interpretation staff are basically based in the same offices, so that's quicker in terms of the and the interpretation turnaround. We think we can do that quicker without people on the vessel. We believe everything I said about the connectivity, because that allows us to access data theoretically from anywhere in the world. It means you can play an active part from wherever you are, provided you've got good connectivity yourself. And you can be actively involved in the velocity model building. Your team probably know more about the geology than we do. And if you can play an active part in that, I think that will do the most important thing, which is to speed up the process for you. No problem.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Abuja. I would like to thank the PGS team for a nice presentation. So, please, as regards 2024 licensing round, PGS, that 10 of the 12 blocks on offer are covered. That's really quite good. So my question is, application services as blocks that are on offer. Basically, what if I have not zeroed in on a particular block, and I want to go for the best. If that service is available by PGS, and how does the rate look like, and where is the services domiciled? Is it with NPRC in their office back? I believe Stavanger, whatever it is. Yeah. Is it? Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that very relevant question. Of course, yes, you're right. We have coverage over the majority of the blocks on offer in 2024. It's not only the seismic; it's a combination depending on what the seismic itself is, but it includes some interpretation as well with the data. What is always also done, and you will see that through the official channels and through our partner and UPRC, is that we have a detailed or more detailed overview of each block, what the seismic look like, what the geological background is, what the targets are in each specific block. And that is what we will be promoting together with the NUPRC. So there is already some information available. When it comes to actual data viewing, of course, Mr. Waller here is more than happy to organize everything like that, anything related to that. So that can be done through our office here. We have assistance through our own office, but also with the NUPRC. So I think to answer your question on that particular case, we'd like to be as flexible as possible to make it as easy as possible for you to look at as much data as possible so you can make the right decision for you going forward.
Just to add to that, you asked specifically about interpretation capability. And as Peter has alluded to, we've got quite a lot of geoscientists who have helped NUPRC, worked with NUPRC to put that interpretation package together that Peter said. So can we provide you support directly to your company to better understand that data, to have a review of the prospectivity? Yes, we can. I think I prefer not to give you rates in the room, but very happy to do over lunch. So we certainly can do so. And where would that capability be? It could be in multiple locations. It could be here in Nigeria. We are based in the UK office. So actually in Weybridge, just outside London. That's where the majority of our geoscience are based. I guess the critical thing really is trust and connectivity. It goes back to my presentation earlier. Those people will be able to work for you wherever they're working. And luckily, the UK and Nigeria is on the same time zone, so that makes life a bit easier. But happy to talk over lunch.
Okay, so that brings to an end the question and answer session. Please forgive us if you do not have a chance to ask a question. I will give to the chairman to have his comments.
Thank you so much, Peter and Chris, once again, for doing justice to the topic. We thank you. I appreciate for answering our questions and sharing knowledge with us. PGS has been a partner with us in the past. We have worked together with IDS, remember, in marine seismic, and even in the future, as we expand our operation, we hope to work together. Thank you so much. So the question and answer session is now closed.
Thank you, sir. President, Geological Society of Nigeria, Mr. Uba Saidu Malami, thank you for coming. He has been sitting down here quietly all through. So thank you. This meeting have drawn attention to a lot of people. Now I hand over to Dr. Shiro, Mariam Shiro, for our presentation.
Thank you, Barry. Hello, everyone. I agree that this presentation has been very insightful, very educative, and we've all contributed very intelligently. So we'd like to present some awards to PGS and to our speakers. Your presentation and sponsorship has really drawn us, NAPE, very closer to our mission, which is to promote the study and practice of petroleum geoscience in the society for the benefit of our members and our stakeholders. So I'd like to call on one of our ex-presidents, Mr. Oyebamiji Ajibola, to please present to our two speakers. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Chris and Peter, please. This is for Peter.
Okay. Congratulations, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, and Chris. Chris deserves this award. All right.
Okay, Chris, thank you. On behalf of NAPE, Abuja chapter, we thank you for the wonderful presentation and kindly receive this on behalf of our association. We are grateful for what you have done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, then I would like to call on one of our also ex-NAPI president, Alex Tucker, to please come on present PGS. Please, will you be taking that? Thank you, sir.
On behalf of NAPI, Abuja chapter, present this plaque in appreciation for this wonderful and memorable presentation. We highly appreciate this. We look forward to very huge exploration success in country towards your portion.
Yes, I do. All right, please, I'd like to call on Mr. Oyebamchi again to please give a brief. Please come. Ajibola.
Thank you, Miriam. Let me look at our special guest. Can we give them another round of applause? Thank you very much. I was going to ask some questions, but I'm not going to ask any question again. But I'm going to make a demand. I like making demands. Wale knows this very well. I want to sincerely thank Wale and his team. Wale and I were in the same university several years ago. When he called me that they would like to come to Abuja chapter to come and sponsor a technical meeting, I was really glad. As it's looking like it's the first time we are going to be having a very big company, PGS, coming to sponsor a technical meeting in Abuja. Please, can we give them another round of applause? So the number one demand is that next year you are coming back. Do we have that? So please, you need to better clap for them, because I know that they pay good money to come to Abuja. So, and that's why today we are going to be having, instead of the usual small chops, we're going to really have 3 course meal or 4. Okay, everything. So, sincerely speaking, I'd like to thank the PGS team for this wonderful support to our association, to NAPI. This is one of the things that we do. I know that you do a lot. You have been doing a lot for the industry. And sincerely speaking, my second demand, which I wanted to ask as a question, is the fact that I'm not too sure, but I know that you probably must be doing something along this path for the students. And I like when you made this comment. My comment is actually along that path to say that, look, what are you doing for our students? Which is going to be my demand in terms of provision of good data. And we have a lot of geoscience university, especially even University of Abuja. Which should be of geology department is here. Please, let's give him a round of applause. Please stand up. He's the HOD of University of Abuja, geology. He's new. So the need has much of support in terms of good data quality for them to be able to add value. I tell you the truth, I'm in the industry. I've been in the industry for several years, more than 30 years. And sometimes they send students to collect data from the IOCs. It's not the best of data, I can tell you, for free. But I know that the kind of data that Mohammed got, you are getting the data right from the source, from those who acquired the data, and they wanted him to add value. Really, that's the essence. That's one of the training. They wanted him to add value to what they are doing. Our students can add value, and we have several of them in-house here. And I want to appeal sincerely that, look, one of the things that you can do for us is provision of good data quality for the Nigerian universities, especially instead of them having to go out. Yes, they still have to go through NUPRC, which is the procedure. Give quality data to Nigerian students. I assure you, they will add value. They will add value. They will add value. Please, this is my second demand, and I know that Wale will take care of this, and we can talk more of, about this even during our NAPE conference and even after this meeting. So I want to thank you in advance. Request. The third question I wanted to ask you is, do you have a processing center in Lagos? If you do not have a processing center in Lagos or in Nigeria, it doesn't have to be in Lagos, but I know that your office is in Lagos. In terms of local content, this will add value to what PGS is doing. And of course, some of our students and benefit from your wealth of technological advancement. We are talking about exploration advances now. What I want to pass to the students. Students, please don't be afraid. A mission you heard from Chris and Peter. They told us that Africa contributes the least. So why are you asking us to go green? So whereas we have not even scratched the surface in terms of the oil and gas that is in Nigeria. And so really, you have a future. All you need to do is to sharpen your skills, your technological skills to be able to meet up with what is on ground. So really, thank you. This is one of the things I said I will mention to you. And I want to, again, on behalf of the Abuja chapter, ESCO members, the chairman, the deputy chairman, the past president, our chairman, thank you very much. Let's appreciate our chairman. You know, you have the right people in-house, so you have the big people in-house. You have a lot of our fellows in-house, so this presentation has added value. Honestly, I benefited a lot. It has impacted us and it has given us a lot of audience. And to the audience, I want us to come like this each time we have a chapter meeting, please. Let's give our audience, let's give ourselves a round of applause. Thank you very much. I can see some lecturers from the universities as well. Dr. Please stand up. I know, yeah, I just saw you. That's it. Dr. What? Dr. Adewale, yes, Dr. Adewale is a geoscientist, a PhD holder, is one of the lecturers from the universities around. So I want to thank every one of us for coming. God bless you as you go back to your various offices. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ajibola Efnape. We'll take pictures at the end of this program, so please don't be in a hurry to go, right? And then launch is up, but before then, there are special announcements from our chapter coordinator.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Just to take us further into this meeting as we round up, we'll be taking the announcements, some announcements. The technical presentation and this presentation was sponsored by PGS, and thanks to them for the sponsor. Please put your hands together for them once again. Yeah, so we all bear witness that it's been a very educating and a very wonderful time to be here to listen to this presentation. Going forward, we have other technical presentation organized by other chapters of NAPE. We have this one, it's coming up on Wednesday, 15th of May. And so you'll have all the information and look out for these presentations. We have the one coming of May 2024. You can get further information on this particular we'll be having their own technical presentation on Thursday, 30th of May by 11 a.m. And so just as we all are also looking forward to the international annual international on the 10th to 14th of November 2024. This is the second NAPE International Conference. And so as we make plans, let's prepare ourselves. We're still accepting poster papers, so please do well to be part of it. And so it's the call for abstracts. You can get all the information from the NAPE website. The theme for the International Technical Conference is resolving the Nigerian energy trilemma, sustainable growth and affordability. So that's the theme for this year's conference. So we'll call for sponsors, and also you can also stand for the conference. Yeah, so we have the NAPE Summer School. It's coming up in June, and the course, we have several courses. This will have the seismic. It's online, so you can be part of it wherever you are. And I think the fee, it's just 1,000 naira, non-members 80,000 naira, for student members 5,000 naira, and student non-members 20,000. Registration of this course is on the 29th of May, the 29th of this month. So be well to be part of it. Other courses are, we have the reservoir description from cores to seismic students. So it exposes you to, what you've learned in classes and to the actual. For our universities, we have the ensure to enroll your university and to be part of it. And we know that the grand finale is always entered. And so we're also asking for the call for mentors to volunteer and to be part of the mentorship group for the basin evaluation competition. And so we have a NAPE challenge. The theme for the NAPE challenge is Experience the Geologist Life Challenge. So please go to the website and you can get all the information you need about this particular challenge. We also have the Of Course challenge, especially for the young people who are always on TikTok, Instagram, and social media. You could be part of it and be part of the Of Course challenge. I'm sure most of us, you've been handed a little pamphlet, so we've been encouraged to be financially up to date. That's the only way you can benefit from the opportunities in NAPE and from the association. So please, this is information about your dues. Let's pay our dues, be up to date in our dues payments. For students, it's still 2,000 naira. Active members, 12,000 naira annually. Associate members, 12,000 naira, and corporate membership is 50,000 naira. And so if you want to pay, you can, it's very easy. You can pay into the bank accounts and forward your payment slip to the NAPE secretariat. I think all this information is in the small pamphlet, so you can just go ahead with it. So just as we've had a very wonderful meeting today, we're also calling for other sponsorship to sponsor our monthly technical meetings. You can be part of it you can sponsor as individuals and also as organizations. So we're calling for sponsorship opportunities. It's also a way of showcasing your organization and also publicizing what you do. the NAPO elections is coming up very soon, and so let's be ready. Part of the procedure to be part of it is also to be financially up to date. So watch out for the offices that will be available, that will be vacant for you to vie in as a NAPO member. All right, so in conclusion, this is just the announcement of the 2024-25 NAPE Executive Committee elections. And this is the timetable, and the lists for the candidates will be coming up in August. Yeah, right. Yes, the August. The forms for nomination will be out by 15th of May of this month. And so let's look out for this information concerning the NAPE elections. For this year, the elective offices will be the president-elect, the general secretary, the assistant secretary, the treasurer, the publicity secretary, financial secretary, director-in-chief and assistant, the editor-in-chief and the assistant editor-in-chief. You can get more information from the website. All right, thank you very much. As I call on the president-elect to give us the opening remark. So, sorry, the closing remark. Please, if you're online, please, you can connect and give us the closing remark. Thank you.
Yes, no, thank you very much. Confirm you can hear me loud and clear.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. I was getting scared now. I mean, if I'm going to start with opening remark, then I'm sure I will keep you for another couple of hours. But I'll make it the closing remarks. After this, I think we should have our time for other stuff. So first of all, I really want to say a thank you to everybody that is still been on the call. So on behalf of the Executive Committee, the Advisory Council, and the Board of Trustees, I really want to say thank you very much. And this is really very timely. Some of you might know I'm actually in Houston now for the Offshore Technology Conference, OTC. And just yesterday, I think it was mentioned in the room, the NUPRC and the minister, rolled out the roadshow for the bid round, and the data set seismic behind these new blocks. The bid round is really at the center of the discussion yesterday. So I think this is quite timely, and I know PGS yourself quite involved in this one. I want to say, I know the past president have already thanked the PGS, but I want to say thank you very much for every single thing you've been doing for NAPE. And you continue to do. I know there's a lot of support we've received from you. And there is no doubt, I know, Jibola, you are saying this is quite unique. Yes, it is unique because, we also have to bring in a bit of national presence to this particular one. Myself and the president actually had planned to be at Abuja for this, and the PS as well. But unfortunately, both myself and president here in Houston, and that's why we didn't make it to Abuja. So thank you very much to all you do, Wale, and your team, Chris and Peter, for that excellent presentation. I also want to recognize it's not easy, again, to have our past president here with us. So 2 of them in the room, so it's quite special. Both Alex Taka and Jibola Ebamiji, FNAPE in the room, and also online. I think they're still there. We also have 2 past presidents as well, Adedoja. Ojelabi, I think, is online, and Jido Ojo have joined this session. And then a couple of other fellows. I really want to say thank you very much. Joy Muyewa, Laoki, Olaoiki Doctor, Abimbola, Sukomi Ehi, who is the vice president, has all been online since we started and still there. So I really want to say thank you to all you've been doing to support these monthly technical meetings. And for every single one of you in the room in there, the universities that are there and the various companies that are there and our members, thank you very much from NAPE. And we'll continue to do this because NAPE is the knowledge base of the industry. And we shouldn't take it for granted. We are the knowledge base of the industry. So we should continue to bring out that knowledge through these kind of monthly meetings. And ultimately, at the conference in November, I'm sure some of these are going to continue into that session. So once again, I bring greetings to you and say thank you very much and well done to the chapter coordinator and all your executive for keeping the lights burning. So thank you very much, everybody. So back to the room now, Ibrahim, I believe.
Like FNAPE, thank you so much. Okay, so that's it from us. Lunch is served. But again, please, the students, could you do us a favor, allow the executive and our elders here take the front line? And then we'll take pictures. The sponsors, please. Come in, and all of you here, please. And then we'll take a photograph, please. Okay, with our sponsor. Don't be in a haste. Godwin, where are you? Alex Tucker? Victor Malami, them Rose. Please, we will take pictures. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Are we doing it inside?
Yeah, for this one. Take this chip shot, right?
Yeah.